Good morning. So, first, aspiration and action bodhicitta, being the two aspects of relative bodhicitta. All other sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. Thus, until I achieve Buddha, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I engage in virtuous deeds, body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Now to the 4th-session Guru Yoga text. First refuge, then the 4 immeasurable minds. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in you, precious Guru Buddha. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, clear like Dharmakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, perfect Sambhogakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, compassionate Nirmanakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, the actuality of the 4 kayas. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in you, precious Guru Buddha. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, clear like Dharmakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, perfect Sambhogakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, compassionate Nirmanakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, the actuality of the 4th kaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in you, precious Guru Buddha. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru. Clear like Dharmakaya, we supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, perfect Sambhogakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, compassionate Nirmanakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, the actuality of the fourth Kaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from their happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. So as I have mentioned before, several times. Although often when we have a sadhana, which is arranged, basically as a liturgy to be performed, especially when we are in an assembly together with other people, then almost all parts of the sadhana are chanted out loud. Especially those sadhanas that are composed in verse form, like this particular sadhana, composed in verse form. However, there is clear evidence, I think, from the Indian Buddhist sources, from the Indian sadhanas, that sadhanas are not necessarily something to be chanted and performed in the way of chanting from beginning to end. So in particular, often the self-creation, the creation stage, the self-creation and the creation in front, often in the older Indian sadhana texts, and also in those sadhanas that are then translated into Tibetan, they were left in the prose form, not versified. They're left in prose as they were originally. And so there especially you can see that they are meant more for the practitioner to help them visualize, to help them experience, imagine what is described in the creation stage. And so here, as we know, in this creation stage, there are two parts to it. Self-creation, yourself as Vajravarahi, holding the Khatri knife and, all the characteristics of Vajravarahi. Then after that, in the space in front, is the field of accumulations, which at the center in this case is Kyopa Jigten Sumgön. To Kyopa Jigten Sumgön's right is Koncho Ratna, the first Gyabgon Chesang. To Kyopa Jigten Sumgön's left is the first Gyabgon Chongsang Dharma Kirti. And so that these are the self-creation and creation in front in a nutshell. And then after that, using Da Hong Bam Ho, bringing down to us the wisdom beings that to dissolve into this visualization. So today, this is how we're going to do it. So emphasizing more on meditating on yourself as Varahi, and in front is the field of accumulations. And so the next part that we're going to chant is going to be on page 11. That's the part with the Da Hong Bam Ho. Even there, actually. Not yet, sorry. The chanting begins on page 12. Da Hong Bam Ho is part of the visualization of setting up the stage, as I've said, and characterize it as setting up the stage. Then on 12, that's when we do the sevenfold worship, the sevenfold puja. So you can silently read through those sections all the way to page 12. Then together we will offer the sevenfold puja on page 12. Now page 12. I respectfully pay homage with fierce and longing faith of the three types to you, the glorious Guru, Lord of the four Kayas. With my body, speech, and mind, I make offerings of all these established things, outer, inner, and other. The one who offers that which is offered and the act of offering are indivisible in essence. This being so, I make this offering of the great single taste free from elaborations. Grant me the accomplishment of effortlessness. I lay bare the impairments and breakings of the vows of the three vehicles and rejoice in your liberating deeds. Please turn the wheel of Dharma in accordance with the capacities of those trained and remain here for as long as samsara has not been emptied. I dedicate the merit accumulated in the 3 times to the welfare of wandering beings. I supplicate you, the Dharmakaya, great Vajradhara of the 6th family. I supplicate you, the 85 Indian Mahasiddhas. I supplicate you, Tili Prajna Bhadra. I supplicate you, Naro Jnana Siddhi. I supplicate you, Marpa of Lodra, the translator. I supplicate you, Mila Shepa Dorje. I supplicate you, Dao Shonu of Dakpo. I supplicate you, the 3 Siddhas of Kam. I supplicate you, Dorje Gyalpo of Pagdu. I supplicate you, Jesun Dorje Peldra. I supplicate you, Supreme Refuge Jik Tensumgan. I supplicate you, Dharma Lord Shri. I supplicate you, Kenjen Sutrim Dorje. I supplicate you, Onjen Sonam Dragpa. I supplicate you, Chenga Dragpa Jungne. I supplicate you, Chung O Dorje Dragpa. I supplicate you, Toka Rinchen Senge. I supplicate you, Samje Dragpa Sonam. I supplicate you, Juni Dorje Rinchen. I supplicate you, Tuku Dorje Gyalpo. I supplicate you, Nirni Chuki Gyalpo. I supplicate you, Shenyan Dondrum Gyalpo. I supplicate you, Rinchen Belgi Gyalten. I supplicate you, Chogyal Rinchen Belzang. I supplicate you, Rigzin Choki Gyatso. I supplicate you, Gyalwang Kunga Rinchen. I supplicate you, Jason Rinchen Punso. I supplicate you, Rinchen Nambar Gyalwang. I supplicate you, Benjen Belgi Gyalten. I supplicate you, Chokle Nambar Gyalwang. I supplicate you, Tsungme Chogyal Punso. I supplicate you, Dubchen Dashi Punso. I supplicate you, Jason Kunjo Rinchen. I supplicate you, Rigzin Choki Dragpa. I supplicate you, Konjo Trinle Namgyal. I supplicate you, Konjo Trinle Tsangpo. I supplicate you, Trinle Dondrup Chogyal. I supplicate you, Konjo Tenzin Chodu. I supplicate you, Tenzin Choki Nima. I supplicate you, Kyabda Peme Gyalten. I supplicate you, Jamyan Choki Gyalten. I supplicate you, Druwang Choki Gyalten. I supplicate you, Rinchen Tembe Zegyen. I supplicate you, Gyalwang Tukje Nima. I supplicate you, Rigzin Nuden Dorje. I supplicate you, Jason Choki Lodro. I supplicate you, Gyalcho Shive Lodro. I supplicate you, Jason Dharmakara. I supplicate you, Trisab Tenzin Tubden. I supplicate you, the Da Bokag, you protectors of wandering beings. I supplicate you, my kind rude Guru, look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion. Reckless and mundane, although I meditate on the rarity of the freedoms and endowments, I still squander away my life. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on impermanence and death. I still fixate on composite phenomena as permanent. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on the unmistaken nature of cause and effect. I still pervert what to adopt and what to abandon. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on the sufferings of cyclic existence. I still take the way to the lower realms. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I safeguard the vows of individual liberation. I still lack renunciation and their determination to be free. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on all wandering beings as my parents. I still have biased attachment to friends and aversion for enemies. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate loving kindness and compassion. I still hold on to envy and enmity. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate aspiration and action bodhicitta. I still focus only on my own welfare. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on my body as the deity's exalted form. I still cling to ordinary perception. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I have counted the mantras to be recited. I still waste away my life force. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate the samadhi of moon in the water. I still solidify things as real and substantial. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I conclude by dissolving in the subsequent stage. I still purify and confess superficially. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on my own mind as free from elaborations. I still have conceptual attitudes. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate not grasping at whatever arises. I still affix an artificial watchfulness. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on resting freely in the natural state. I still amplify artificialities. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on unity beyond conceptions. I still get carried away by the masses of likes and dislikes. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane. I supplicate you, who are my refuge and protector in this and all other lives. Physician who removes the chronic diseases of samsara, hero who vanquishes the enemies that are afflictive emotions, sun which dispels the darkness of ignorance, moon that protects from the heat of suffering, jewel which fulfills all our needs and desires. You, Guru, who are all-inclusive and all-sufficient, I supplicate you from the depths of my heart. With compassion, swiftly heed me, effortlessly bestow your blessings. Grant me now and on this seat the naturally accomplished feast of the two benefits. I am endowed with both merit and devotion. Do not leave my hopes unfulfilled. Don't cast away my devotion in vain. Don't let my supplications vanish unanswered. Don't be indifferent with your compassion, refuge and protector in this life, in the intermediate state and beyond. Whatever occurs, joy or sorrow, good or bad, only you are my hope. Look upon me with eyes of compassion. You alone are my hope. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jig and Gun. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwang Konchorana. I supplicate you, gentle protector, you true Dharma Kirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jig and Gun. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwang Konchorana. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyuntrun Dhamma Kirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jig and Sumgun. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwang Konjorana. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyuntrun Dhamma Kirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jig and Sumgun. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwang Konjorana. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyutrun Dharma Kirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jig and Sumgun. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwang Konjorana. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyuntun Dhamma Kirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jig and Sumgun. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwang Konjorana. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyutrun Dhamma Kirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jig and Sumgun. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwang Konjorana. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyuntur Dhamma Kiriti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jig and Sumgun. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwang Konjorana. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyutrun Dharma Kirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jig and Sumgun. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwang Konjorana. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyutrun Dharma Kirti. From this life onward until awakening is reached, other than the three of you, you victors, Father and Sons, I have no other hope. Don't lose your compassion and give up on me. As there are none like you, kings, you victors, Father and Sons, you are all that I need, my only hope and reliance. I supplicate you with fierce and strong devotion. From the utmost depths of my heart, without delay or indifference, look upon me with your eyes of primordial wisdom. After this life, while I am in the intermediate state, draw me out with your hook of primordial wisdom and compassion. So please read the next few pages describing the activities and the qualities of these three, Father and Sons, so to say, and where they are now, and the power of their vows, their aspirations. Now, page 41. Thus are these three victors, Father and Sons, the gathering and embodiment of the ocean of God, you gurus and siddhas and all idams, dakinis, and dharmapalas with wisdom, knowledge, loving compassion, exalted activities, and protective powers. By your blessings, bless me and all sentient beings, so that our minds turn to the Dharma. Bless us so that the Dharma turns into the Dharma. Bless us so that the Dharma enters the path. Bless us so that the path clears confusion. Bless us so that confusion dawns as wisdom. Bless us so that all our karmic and afflictive obscurations and our cognitive obscurations and habitual obscurations are cleared now. Bless us so that they are cleared on this seat. Bless us so that they are cleared in this session. Bless us so that our mind streams are cleansed. Bless us so that our mind streams are fully liberated. Bless us so that we are liberated now. Bless us so that we are liberated on this seat. Bless us so that we are liberated in this session. Bless us so that the supreme samadhi arises unmistakably in our mind streams. Bless us so that it arises now. Bless us so that it arises on this seat. Bless us so that it arises in this session. Bless us so that the unmistaken supreme primordial wisdom arises in our mind streams. Bless us so that it arises now. Bless us so that it arises on this seat. Bless us so that it arises in this session. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your forehead center, white light emanate, dissolving into my forehead, immediately fully cleansing my body and my waking state of their obscurations, and planting the seed for the Nirmana Kaya. The exalted body, Vajra, the Guru's exalted body, and my body are inseparable. This is the indestructible appearances, emptiness, Kaya Siddhi. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your throat center, red lights emanate, dissolving into my throat, immediately fully cleansing my speech and my dream state of their obscurations, and planting the seed for the Sambhogakaya, the exalted speech, Vajra. The Guru's exalted speech and my speech are inseparable. This is the indestructible sound emptiness, Vaka Siddhi. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your heart center, blue lights emanate, dissolving into my heart, immediately fully cleansing my mind and my deep sleep state of their obscurations, and planting the seed for the Dharmakaya, the exalted heart, Vajra. The Guru's exalted heart and my mind are inseparable. This is the indestructible clarity, emptiness, Chitta Siddhi. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your navel center, golden lights emanate, dissolving into my navel, immediately fully cleansing my equipoise mind and the moment of transition of their obscurations. Having ripened the Swabhavika Kaya, the three primordial wisdom Vajras, and my body, speech, and mind are inseparable. This is the indestructible bliss, emptiness, Sarva Siddhi. Here the retinue dissolves like breath on a mirror disappearing. The glorious Guru's exalted body dissolves and furthermore turns into beautiful masses of 5 colored lights resplendent like 100,000 suns. These lights dissolve into oneself. Immediately you are blazing in various colors of light. Bright lights and rainbows fill the 3,000-fold universes. This is the indivisible unity of clarity and emptiness, just as it is primordially free from elaborations. The great middle way, seal, and perfection. Don't be confused by the names, their meanings are identical. The indivisible unity of primordial wisdom. Evam Maya Alalaho. By the virtues collected in the 3 times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious Bodhi. So just to share with you, when we do, these sadhanas, it's not always the case, that you're going to feel, oh, this is going on, that is going on, I can feel this, I can feel this. Yeah? In my own experience, mostly, none of those things are going on. We try, we say, I experience this, I feel this, right? We try, we do. We want to make effort, but also not grasp at, oh, I felt like this today. Oh, I felt like that yesterday, but today I didn't feel like this. This is what's called the excellence in the middle. The excellence in the beginning is the excellent motivation. The excellence in the middle is the excellence of not grasping, not fixating. Good, bad, like, don't like, don't fixate. Don't fixate doesn't mean don't pay attention. Pay attention and actually pay attention to how we fixate. And when we know how we fixate and how that fixation, even subtle, can turn heavy, when we see those faults, when we see those distractions, then we develop natural relinquishment. This word is used a lot to relinquish, to let go. So even in the 16 stages of breath, towards the end, the emphasis is to relinquish. Building up to the end, you deliberately want to calm the body and feel the calmness of the body, then feel the happiness, feel the joy, and it's like you deliberately cultivate, encourage those feelings. Then the mind becoming calm, So you go through these positive, in the 16 stages of breath, you go through these kind of positive, likable states. You deliberately encourage those, but then the training is to even see through those and relinquish and to let go. So even in our practice, the excellence in the middle is not to fixate. And then the excellence at the end is the excellence of dedication. So these are what's called the 3 excellences for the 3 parts of these formal practices.
Sorry, I don't know that.
My spy suddenly tells me, sorry, she doesn't know that. That's the Amazon spy that lives in the house. Yes. It's this control thing, that supposedly make your life, easier. Turn on the lights every evening, sunset, turn on, and at 11 turn off, and do all kinds of things. Remind you need to buy toilet paper. But to be able to do all of that, that means it's constantly surveilling. They make you believe it will only come on when you say her name, and I cannot say her name. But there's a lot of proof that it's not true, Like, I did not say her name. Suddenly she said, sorry, I don't understand what you mean. It's like, okay, you've been listening. So anyway, yesterday we started. So in a way, we could say we're starting this new series, which we will go through, briefly the life story of the lineage masters. I see a hand going up. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Lupon. I have a question just before we start.
Yes.
The part of the sadhana where we start reading about the activities of these Buddhas, when you described it like 1 week ago, it was a little bit shocking to me how you said it, so I just wanted to ask for clearing.
What do you mean?
You said like you're not sure if this is happening, something like that, like 1 week ago when you.
What do you mean?
Yeah, you said something like these are some miraculous activities that I am not sure if they're happening. I'm not sure if you said exactly like that. And then you said there's some people that really need to see these things to have more faith.
Yeah.
Yeah. For example, for me, I have that makes me have a lot of faith in the.
Oh, good. So that's it. End of story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it turned a little bit fuzzy when you brought it up in question. Like,
I was just saying, for me, I don't relate that well to these things, But that's okay. I don't say they don't exist. I just say, well, this is how it's described, Yeah. Beings have different perceptions, That's the more important underlying point. And they say the Buddhist example often used is fish see what we call the river as simply existence. We see it as river, either river to be crossed, or river to wash your clothes in, river to burn your dead body in and throw in. So all sorts of different perceptions with regards to what we call river. Fish have no idea what you have to say about it, about river. Fish is just existence. Hungry ghosts, when they come by, they see pus and blood everywhere. Gods, they come, they see nectar, elixir. Yeah? So different beings have different perceptions based on their karmas. So this period of time that we're talking about with the beginning of the lineage and these early successors to Kyoba Jigten Sumgön, just some kind of perspective of, what is going on in the world, right? What is going on in the world, what's happening elsewhere, so that we have an idea. So we started yesterday with Khenchen Sutrim Dorje, Kurawa, who passed away in 1221 after leading the community for about 3 years. After the death of Jigten Sumgön, he led the community for about 3 years. So 1221, right? So some idea of what is going on. 1221, around that time, what else is going on? Around that time, the Mongol Empire, founded by Genghis Khan, is already very active and doing these raids and expansions around Asia and towards Europe. In fact, in 1223, they very successfully defeated many different Russian small kind of like kingdoms in Russia. And they were doing that. 1227, Genghis Khan dies. 1227. 1232, the Mongols succeed in entering China and putting an end to what's known as the Northern Song Dynasty. So they occupied northern China and established the Mongol dynasty called the Yuan dynasty in China in 1232. It was also during this century that in Peru, for example, the Andean kingdom, the king centered in Cusco, started in the late period. There are different periods of this Andean empire, but it kind of flourished in this around this time, in the 13th century. In terms of Mayan civilization, it's the beginning of what's known as the late post-classical period. And in North America, the tribes around the Mississippi River, it said that the population at that point is comparable to the population of London in the same period. So that's roughly this time period that we're talking about, the 13th century. So like in Europe, it's the beginning of the Fourth Crusade, which is from 1202 to 1204. 1209, Francis of Assisi started the Franciscan order. The famous Magna Carta was signed in 1215 in England. So that's the time period, that we're talking about. Now, the next throne holder is Onchen Sonam Drakpa. Onchen, Un means nephew. Onchen, the great nephew, Sonam Drakpa. So the Sonam Drakpa was born in 1187 and lived to 1235. So his uncle, Kyopa Jigten Sumgun, died at 1179. So 1179. So in fact, 1217. Uncle died, not 1179. It's like, wait a minute. 1217, uncle passed away, and he was born in 1187. So he was 30, right? 1217, 1187. He was already 30 when his uncle passed away. So he was born in eastern Tibet, in Kham, which is where Kyopa Rinpoche's family originated, the Kyura family. So he was born there in eastern Tibet. So as Kyopa Rinpoche's community in Drigung Til grew stronger and stronger, and more people, many people kept saying to him, you should sooner rather than later appoint a successor. And in particular, they said, you need to appoint someone from your family. Now, of course, maybe to us, we're thinking, this is good old nepotism. And perhaps, most of the history of the world is this kind of nepotism, so to say, favoring the people within your own family. But the reality on the ground is that I think family was such a powerful and important institution in people's lives that family ties are seen as, like you could say, like divine, And so why, these people ask him, please quickly designate a successor, and in fact designate someone from your family, is really this strong belief that, unless it is someone from his family, people are not going to, other people are not going to accept. And so it has to be someone from your family, they say to him. And so, he started to he dispatched one of his main disciples to eastern Tibet to come, to kind of look around among his family if there are any promising candidates to bring to Drigung and to be trained in Drigung. So this happened. So among Kyopa Rinpoche's uncles on the father's side, there was one uncle called Gonjo Rinchen. And Gonjo Rinchen had a son called Anye Ada. And Anye Ada has had 3 sons. and the eldest son is this Sonam Drakpa. When Kyopa Rinpoche's, who Kyopa Rinpoche sent to come, when he first met Sonam Drakpa was only 10. But he could tell that Sonam Drakpa was like a prodigy of sorts. And it was said that according to in the history, this person did not reveal, who he was. He didn't say, I'm the disciple of your relative who is now very famous, and I'm here to look for potential successors. No, of course he didn't do that. He just kind of turned up, as a religious person. Then of course there's this culture of giving alms, giving shelter for religious people, especially religious people who are traveling. So he kind of undercover, right? He came to observe. So after a period of time that he felt like, this would be a suitable family member of Kyopa Rinpoche's family, and that family name is called Kyura, Kyura, Kyura. Then this disciple sent with the task broached the subject with the family. And it is said that he did not just broach the subject with the family, he also performed what I would call Jedi mind tricks. So he performed miraculous things in order to impress and get the attention of Sonam Drakpa's family. So, because at that time, the family may know that, one of their family members, have gone to central Tibet and has become a Lama. But still, who knows, there are so many of these figures who have gone to central Tibet to become Lamas, and doesn't immediately, right, carry a lot of weight. But then when they saw, their relative's disciple, having this ability to perform miraculous things, that, as Yvonne says, very inspiring, So it inspired this family too, like, oh, okay, well, maybe, we may consider, letting you take our son to this relative, to this uncle, to be trained. So, nonetheless, it wasn't so straightforward, not so easy, but eventually the family agreed to let Sonam Drakpa be taken to central Tibet to be trained by his uncle. And then the family also started to make plans to relocate themselves to central Tibet. And slowly, many of the relatives of Kyopa Rinpoche moved to central Tibet, into Drigong area. Eventually, they became like the secular rulers of Drigong area. And this is not uncommon. This was a common pattern that was going on in central Tibet. Relatives of great lamas beginning to kind of gather and then to anchor, to provide stability for these communities at the passing of the founder. Kyopa Jigten Sungkhan himself saw the challenges of a community continuing smoothly at the wake of the passing of the teacher, because his own teacher's place basically fell apart. Yeah, his own teacher's community which was such a thriving community. Remember, Pamodrupa's community called Pakdru Densatil. Yeah? And it said that Pakdru Densatil, Pamodrupa had 500 senior disciples who had disciples themselves, teachers in their own right. Yeah? So it was a thriving community. And Kyopa Jigten Sumgun would affectionately and respectfully, just as he called his teacher, Lord of the Three Walls, Jigten Sumgun, protector of the three walls, and Jigten Sumgun would refer to Pamodrupa's community, monastery. It's not monastery in the sense that we know today, big fancy buildings, golden statues, all of that. It's more like, a community of practitioners with all these retreat huts. Pamodrupa lived in a hut, a simple hut, all his life there. So this community, Kyopa Rinpoche called Kunsang Nakseling. Kunsang Nakseling. This name Kunsang Nakseling is like the Samantabhadras, the all good, the all beneficial, the all good hermitage, Kunsang Nakseling. And this name is the name of a forest in the Samadhi Raja Sutra. The Samadhi Raja Sutra being an important sutra for the Mahamudra tradition. Yeah, so in Samadhi Raja Sutra, a very long sutra, there's one chapter, I forgot the number of that chapter, but there's one chapter that highlights a great bodhisattva and his disciples living in this forest and practicing in this forest called Samantabhadra's hermitage. Samantabhadra's forest hermitage, Kunsang Nakseling. So then Kyopa Jigten Sumgun called his teacher's place Kunsang Nakseling. So to make a further connection, this is the name that His Holiness has given the Drigung Forest Hermitage in North Carolina, Kunsang Nakseling. So now we have to live up to that reputation. But when Pamodrupa passed away, that community fell apart. At one point, they asked Jigten Sumgun to please head up that community. And he tried. But after 1 or 2 years, he gave up. In fact, it's said that he ran away in the middle of the night. He was so kind of challenged by that situation that he left in the middle of the night and basically said, there's nothing I can do here. Yeah? Because people disagreed, and there, for sure, Pamodrupa did not bring any of his family members. So maybe also from that experience, Kyopa Rinpoche felt like, okay, I have no choice, because I can always count on family in holding things down. And now I can also count on other people respecting my family. Because that's how, the thinking of those times were. So eventually Kyopa Rinpoche's family, all his relatives, his uncles, aunts, nephews, nieces, they all move from Eastern Tibet to Drigung area. So when Sonam Drakpa arrived in Drigung Til with this disciple that was sent to go look for someone like him, Kyopa Rinpoche said was very happy that Sonam Drakpa came, and so then immediately gave Sonam Drakpa the novice monk's vows. Then from then on, at that point when Sonam Drakpa arrived, he was already 13. When Kyopa Rinpoche's student first arrived to go looking, Sonam Drakpa was 10. but you know, with all the plannings and all the observation and everything, he was 13 when he arrived. And then after arriving and after his ordination as a novice monk, and he then received, you know, instructions and guidance from his uncle. Then he, at a young age of, at that point, 13, you know, like unclear, you know, around 13, 14, he said to his uncle, he said, I want to enter into a 13-year period of retreat. Like 12 is one cycle, and then 13. So like one cycle and more. So it said that then he mostly remained in retreat for the next 13 years, except for when, you know, he needed to receive instructions from his uncle, or when he needed to come out due to whatever is going on. But otherwise, he spent the next 13 years mostly in retreat. And also he was very strict with himself. He observed the practice of only eating one meal a day, and he also took the vow to be a vegetarian. Not very common during that time because of the challenges of not having a lot of vegetables growing in Tibet. So in a way, it was a very unbalanced diet. So mostly subsisted on barley, roasted barley flour, and dairy products. And I don't mean eggs, but like, you know, bovine, milk, yogurt, butter, curd. And if they're lucky enough, there might be some preserved vegetables sent from far, far away. Or in the summer, nettles that grow around that area. You could pluck and cook them. But he, even in those challenging circumstances where it's not so easy, he took the vow to be vegetarian. Then in the year 1214, he took the full monk's vows. Later, Kyoba Rinpoche sent him to various teachers to receive teachings on the Hevajra Tantra, Chaka Samvara, Guhya Samaja, and also his uncle also sent him to like Kadampa teachers to receive teachings from them. So we can see, you know, that during that time, there was not yet this strong sectarian identity. Basically, it was left to the teacher, in this case Kyoba Rinpoche, to see what is needed by different individuals. So since he was grooming Sonam Drakpa to be his successor, so then I think he felt, okay, he needs to be more schooled in the more formal training. And so then he sent him to this region called Takpu, where he, Sonam Drakpa, learned formal training and learning, scholarship in these three major highest yoga tantra traditions: Hevajra, Chakasamara, and Guhya Samaja. And then specifically it's mentioned that he studied with this Kadampa master called Yontendrak, Nup Lotsawa Yontendrak, a prominent Kadampa master during that time. Then he further received teachings on the Vinaya from his uncle and presumably also from Khenchen Sutrim Dorje, right? That he then succeeded later. So 1214, Sonam Drakpa kind of went to different teachers to receive the major tantric cycles. Then 1215, he commenced a 6-year retreat. And during that time, mostly he was practicing Mahamudra, training in stabilizing this realization of the nature of mind. When his uncle passed in 1217, he remained in retreat. Even though his relatives, in particular his family, it's like, you need to break your retreat now because uncle just passed away and you are supposed to be his successor. Yeah, but he refused. He said, I made a commitment to my uncle to remain in retreat for 6 years. So he would not want me to break my retreat. So he remained in retreat. He did not even break his retreat to attend any of the ceremonies for the funeral. And so he could not immediately succeed his uncle. And that was why Khenchen Sutrim Dorje, being a senior and also the preceptor that gave vows to so many of the monks there. So I think everybody felt that Sutrim Dorje could hold that position. It's kind of like in the meanwhile, right, until Sonam Drakpa finishes the designated successor, the intended successor, could finish his 6-year retreat. But in 1221, unfortunately, Sutrim Dorje was clearly dying. So then this time, no choice, Sonam Drakpa had to break his retreat because he entered in 1215, right? If it is 6 years, yeah, 6 years, so 21. But the sources say that, although his initial plan is to be in retreat for 6 years, he wanted to stay longer. But then now, 1221, 6 years, more or less 6 years later, and the second throne holder is dying. So then no choice, he could not continue his life of retreat. So he then inherited the throne of Drigong from Khenchen Sutrim Dorje. But throughout his time as the throne holder, it is said that he maintained the tradition started by Pamodrupa, which is in the mornings of the first half of each month, it was dedicated to meditation. And in the afternoon, he would give instructions and he would meet people. Then in the second half of each month, everybody engaged in practice. So I think I got this opposite the last time I talked about this schedule. I think I said the first half of the month, everyone was meditating in their own spaces. But it's the other way around. The first half of the month, in the mornings, everybody practiced in their own rooms. Then in the afternoon, he would meet and give instructions, sometimes individually, sometimes he might call all of them together. And then in the second half of the month, everybody is in retreat. So he then, continued to lead this community until 1235. And that was when he passed away. So when he passed away in 1235, again another mini crisis. There were no clear successor. So the next throne holder is once again someone not from the Kyura family, because there was no Kyura family No one from the Kyura family could succeed this nephew. So instead, Kyopa Rinpoche's, you could say, second in command, Dragpa Jungne, became the throne holder. Dragpa Jungne. It turned out he was the right person to do it, and he led the lineage for a long time. 20 years he held that position for 20 years. Onchen held that position from 1221 to 1235. So Onchen Sonam Drakpa, by our standards, did not live a very long life. He died before reaching 50. Around 48, he passed away. And so the one who succeeded him was one of Kyopa Rinpoche's main disciples. Kyopa Rinpoche's main disciples, there were two in particular, and it was Sherab Jungne, right? The one who compiled all his teachings, who didn't want to be encumbered by institutional responsibilities. And then there is Dragpa Jungne. Dragpa Jungne also collected many of Kyopa Rinpoche's teachings, but Dragpa Jungne was a very different type, different abilities than Sherab Jungne. Dragpa Jungne was not only a great Lama, a great practitioner, he was also, almost you could say, a very skillful statesman. And he is credited with protecting Drigong many times during his 20 years when Mongol warlords was marching through central Tibet. It said that he was able to dissuade them from destroying and taking over Drigong area. So Dragpa Jungne. So next week, we will start by looking at Dragpa Jungne. Dragpa Jungne, before he came back to Drigong to be the throne holder, he was sent by Jigten Sumgön to anchor Pamodrupa's monastery. Remember I said how Pamodrupa's monastery fell apart? And it fell apart and fell apart and fell apart, and it got worse and worse and worse, until nobody, apparently, but a handful of people were living there. So when Kyopa Rinpoche got very famous and was flourishing in Drigong, what happened was the people at Pamodrupa's area came to Jigten Sumgön and said, "You are now a great Lama, and you should take care of your teacher's monastery. So please come back and help your teacher's place, re-flourish." So they say, "You now have authority. You now have, what it takes. Please come back." So he went back to revive his teacher's monastery, to rebuild, and he built this amazing stupa for his teacher at this monastery, Pakmo Densatil, and then eventually he sent Chenga Dragpa Jungne to go be the head of his teacher's monastery. And there's a story there that is very inspiring, how he sent Dragpa Jungne, how Jigten Sumgön sent Dragpa Jungne to go anchor his teacher's monastery and to revive his teacher's monastery. So after reviving Pakmo Densatil, when he was needed at Drigong Til, then he left that position, Dragpa Jungne, and came back to Drigong Til, and then became the head of Drigong Til until he passed away in 1255. He was born in 1175. So Dragpa Jungne lived, 80 years, as old as Jigten Sumgön. almost as old, actually Jigten Sumgön maybe a little younger. So Dragpa Junne lived a long life. 1175. So we will stop here today. Changchu Sem Chorim Poje Ma Ge Ba Nam Ge Gyu Je Ge Ba Nyam Ba Me Ba Yang Gong Ne Gong Du Be Wer Shung. In one of the teachings that we translated by one of the teachings by Jigten Sumgön, he talks about his failure to take good care of his teacher's monastery after his teacher passed away. And it was in the context of him advising his disciples, saying, don't try too hard, to like build your monastery and want too much for your monastery to flourish. He's advising his own disciples, and said, as you go forth, as you develop to become teachers in your own right, as far as like you establishing your own communities and all of that, he said, don't try so hard, because he says, imagine, like even someone as great as my teacher, who is an emanation of Buddha Krakuchanda, even like in his case, when he passed away within a few years, his community fell apart completely. And even though I try so hard, to keep it going, it's simply not possible. So he kind of like, you could tell, it really troubled him. Even later in life, he would say, like, he says, without the right causes and conditions of everyone involved, it is not so easy for things to happen. Which is a reminder to us not to take for granted, like whatever positive Dharma conditions that we have, it is really, really not so easy to have them. So he says, even my teacher, emanation of Buddha Krakuchanda, and even I tried so hard, but it wasn't possible. It fell apart. And then he said, and so who do you think you are, He sort of said that. Yeah. Okay. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you, Lord.
Thank you. Happy weekend.
Thank you.